Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday Live. It is wonderful to be back again. Can you believe it is Friday again already? I certainly can't. So I am really looking forward to today because, of course, I am continuing with Powerwax from Powertex Art Supplies. So what we're going to be exploring today is we're going to be exploring water-based medium, the use with any water-based medium of Powerwax. The use of Powerwax with any water-based medium. So it's going to be a fun session. So hold on to your seats and get ready for a treat. I'm just going to bring up my comments so I can see who is actually on with me. So hey Carol, lovely to see you here. Of course, Carol is from Ladybird Creative Arts in Hamilton Hill, and she does some lovely steampunk artwork. So keep a lookout for what Carol does. And lovely to have you here. Nicole's just popping on as well. And Nicole is Three Hearts Art Studio. She's doing some beautiful mixed media artworks in bush nuts and rust effects and all sorts of wonderful things. So check those out. Nicole tends to be a bit of like she loves colour. So if you love colour, you'll love Nicole's workshops, and it's always a relaxed day. And so everyone's popping in. Hey, Denise from the Happy Scrappy Bug there in Harvey. And it's lovely to have you here. And Karen Ridley, textile artist. So Karen is currently doing the Certified Powertex Trainers course with me, and she does incredible textile art and uses fibres and fabrics. She is a member of AWST, and so she really explores surface manipulation, and I can't wait to share more of the work that she is doing with Powertex. So keep an eye out for her work and upcoming workshops very soon. So Anne from Eastern Canada. Hey Anne, lovely to have you here, and thanks for joining. And let's get started. Without any further ado, we are going to be looking at Powerwax with Powertex today, actually, because of course Powertex is the equivalent of a water-based medium that you can actually use the Powerwax with, and it is wonderful to use with Powerwax because it also acts like a binder. So let's take a look down to the art table. I'll share that with you, and we'll zoom on down there. Okay, so what I've got here is I have a couple of canvases. Each of these I actually painted with black Powertex to begin, and then I did some easy 3D flex onto these canvases, which I'm going to show you in a few weeks. I'm going to show you playing with easy 3D flex to create structure and amazing textures in your artwork. So if you have a really close look at this one, you can see some of the cracking effects that are actually in there. So I've done the black canvas, then I've done the 3D flex, and then I've layered on the crackle effect with Ivory, Powertex and Vistas, which of course, those of you who don't know me, I love the Vistas. So they're one of my favorite things. And you can see, if you imagine if you were making an animal skin or an animal sculpture, how terrific would this sort of effect be for like a giraffe? It's just beautiful colors. So yeah, perfect. And what I've done here is, so you can imagine it was all quite dark, and then I've actually bought the Powerwax in one of my favorite techniques. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you my favorite technique with Powerwax, just the technique that I love for bringing the light back into your artwork. So sometimes your work can get very dull, and you really need to get that contrast back in there. And the Powerwax is perfect for that. And you can see how you can get incredible translucent layers with the Powerwax. So this is one of the really gorgeous things with it. You can make it as opaque as you like, or you can actually make it a little bit transparent so that you can see through to layers of colour. Nicole's just saying, oh, fabulous sample boards, woohoo, I'm excited. Thanks, Nicole. Love your excitement. It's always nice to hear that. So again, you know, you can see how that colour is actually layered up on there and how the texture is working with the wax. So the Easy 3D Flex is wonderful. So if you do love texture in your artwork, then you are going to love the Easy 3D Flex. It is just really superb. So again, the use of the Powerwax here, you can see how the colours are actually coming through some of the layers, and then you can see how I've taken it more opaque here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you quite often when I do a mixed media piece, it will end up looking something like this, where there's no light in my piece. So this is actually a really brilliant way to actually bring light back into it. So you can see the difference between this piece where it's got some translucency happening. I just have to move something here so I can actually lift it up. So you can see the beautiful translucent layers that are happening actually in that, because I have put some wax on this piece. So I haven't actually finished this one, so it's quite dark down in some of the other areas, but I do want it to be darker at the base, and then I want it to feel like the light is pouring in from above. So whereas if we take a look at this one, you can see it's just all a bit mid-tone. So you've got darks and you've got sort of mid-tone colours, but it all just kind of mushes together, and you really need some of this light back into some of here to create contrast. So this is one of my favourite things to do, like I say. So I've got my trusty ice cream container lid here, palette knife, and I've got a little scoopy thing, which is super handy. And of course, I've got my Powerwax. So if you haven't got any Powerwax, it's a really wonderful medium to have in your stash. And like you see, it is a water-based cold wax, which is absolutely insane because it works with any water-based medium. So for a long time, of course, there has been a wax that works with oil paint, but really this is the first time I've come across a cold wax that works with water-based mediums. So I'm just going to put a generous scoop out here. This is actually a lot of wax. You will find it is actually really very economical. It does last really, really well. The other thing with the wax is it does contain no VOCs, so that's a really good thing for those of you who are concerned about your health and working with materials that are user-friendly, which I think we're all more aware of these days. Now, this is an older container of ivory. I do love it because it is quite thick, but because it is a little bit older, it can oh no, look at that, it's behaving itself really well. It's got a lovely, lovely quality to it. So I've got my wax and I've got my ivory, and then of course the more wax I take into the ivory, the more translucent the layer is going to be. The Powertex universal medium that I'm using in the ivory is also going to act like a binder. Now, remembering that this one is quite translucent, so it's not opaque, so I'm just going to pop it on there. And yes, this is my favorite way of actually applying it. I love, love using my finger. I just find that I've got a lot of control with it. So what I've got on this piece is, I don't know if you saw it before when I held it up, but there was a little bit of spitty colour that was actually on there. And so what I like to do is I like to build up the wax layers. When I first got the Powerwax, I did a lot of play and experimentation with it because, of course, I'm located here in Australia, so I kind of just have to discover myself what works. And so how I do that is I just spend, like with the wax, I spent an entire month just experimenting with what I could actually do in my artwork to see what worked. So I'll hold that up. So the more layers of colour that you actually take over the wax, you can get a more opaque look. Now, I'll show you on this one. So remembering, I actually haven't got a lot of the Powertex Universal Medium in this wax mix. So it is quite translucent. And I can just rub that on there. And you can see I'm not really very careful with it. But this is where I love it. So look at that. So see how it's got this beautiful translucency through to the colours underneath. It's already started to lighten up that top layer of my artwork. And it also kind of picks up the bistre a little bit. So the bistre, of course, isn't totally fixed until you actually seal it with something. So the bistre will actually create a little bit of colour from that underlayer, even though it's really dried, into the wax layer. Now, because it works with any water-based medium, I could also actually add bistre into the mix with the wax. So let's take a little bit more on the top here. Now, I'm going to show you what not to do, so I'll see if I can make it happen. The things that you do when you want to show people what not to do, right? So you can see that the more layers I do on there, it just becomes less and less translucent. So what you don't want to do is this, and let me see if I can actually do it. So this has already been drying here for a minute. So what is actually going to happen is that as I work into this, if I overwork it too much and do another layer before it has actually dried, it's probably going to behave itself. I'll see if I can actually make it. No, it's going to behave. Of course it is. See if I can get it to happen. So, okay, it's starting to happen there, right? So what happens is if you overwork it, you will actually get holes in your wax layer. So you don't want that to happen. So you want to allow that wax just to touch dry so that you don't get it lifting. So you can see as I work and overwork that area, how it's actually lifting away from the bottom surface, and it's kind of putting holes in my wax layer that I don't want. If I wanted that, then that's fine, but you will find that you're better to, once you've done a thin layer, to just let that touch dry. And if you're like me, you get impatient with waiting for things like that, but it is so worth it, and it doesn't take long. So it only takes around about, you know, I said 20 to 30 minutes, but it doesn't even take that long. And you know, as soon as you touch it, whether it has actually dried off enough, because it will just keep lifting. So Kay is just saying that she loves the misty look. Absolutely, Kay. That is, you know, a treasure with the wax. That is what I love it for. And I actually did a piece that was based on New Zealand mountains with the clouds coming across the mountains, and it had, you know how you get that misty cloud layer, and so I did that on the painting with the wax, and I was super happy with the result for that. So Nicole's just saying, let there be light. Yes, absolutely. And so, you know, like I can just swish that through there. So you can see I'm not being that careful with it, but look at the beautiful effect that gets just by, like you saw what I did, I just slammed it on so with my fingers and rubbed it in. So you can't be too precious with this, but once I've done this layer, like I said, I want to leave it now just until it touch dries, so that then I can do another layer over the top. Up here, you can see how that bistre is actually bleeding through the ivory Powertex, and it is creating this sort of lemon yellow, which can get quite luminous, and I don't really like that effect. So if you do find it doing that, you can actually spray the bistre with fixative before you do this, and it won't actually colour the wax as much. But to counteract this, I can allow that wax to dry. Like I say, if I touch it now, it's just going to come off. See, that's a perfect example. So you can see how that has shifted. It's got this ugly lump here, and it just lifts off. So that's what will happen if you actually overwork it. Look, Karen's just saying, can you increase the drying time with the hairdryer? I have done all sorts of things with the wax. So I've used a heat gun on it to see how it melts. I've oversprayed the wax with the bistre. I would just be experimenting to your heart's content. So there are some things that you need to know, and I think, you know, this is one of the nicest ways I found of working with the wax, is because you know it's really well sealed once you've actually added your ivory Powertex into it. It's also, the Powertex is also acting as a binder for the wax, and so you know that it's going to be good. So the other question I've had is, can it be buffed? So Nicole's just asking, can it be buffed? So Nicole, you would need to leave it for about a week until it's totally set, and then you can actually get a soft cloth and you can actually buff it, and in buffing it, it will actually seal it. Now, for those of you who love resin, there's no point doing the wax layer and then putting resin over it, because it just destroys the waxy look of the finish. So yeah, I didn't really see the point of putting resin over the top of the wax, because it just really destroys the look of it. Okay, what other questions have we got? Once the wax is completely dry, can it go outdoors? So Carol, I don't tend to use the wax on outdoor sculptures. I've always tended to use it on indoor artwork. So I will need to get back to you on that question, because I've never actually put it outside. But from my tests, I would imagine that it would be okay, but I will have to get back to you on that. So stay tuned. Flick me a text message and remind me if I don't mention it. So yeah, Nicole's just saying it's beautiful. It really is such a beautiful effect. Like, you can see those two side by side. It's really like a golden light that is coming into it now. And this misty translucent layer that you get is just absolutely divine. And it is so easy to do. That is the wonderful thing. If you learn a few techniques with Powertex, you can get absolutely incredible effects in your artwork very, very simply. So what else have I got here? I've got this one, and I've got another one that is similar, just with different colours. So this one actually already has wax on it. So it actually has some pigments mixed in with the wax, like I showed you last week. And again, you can see that the, there's a lot of colours on there. So you might just want to quieten that down. And that's where, actually doing this technique on here can actually just quieten down some of those colours and again take a bit more light into your work. Now what you've seen there is you do want to, when you're doing something like this, see how I was just not very careful there. I actually liked the dark layer that was in there, so if I was being careful with what I was doing, I would actually be paying more attention to leaving some of that. But look at now some of those colours that just by doing an ivory and wax layer over the top in a very thin layer are starting to come through. So it's a lot more interesting than this, because this is very one-dimensional. Whereas you look at this top corner here where I've got the wax and the ivory Powertex, and you've got different layers of translucency and colour popping through there. And it takes your artwork from being sort of, pretty ordinary to being pretty extraordinary. You do have to be bold, but like I say, usually if I was doing this on an artwork, I would be, really making conscious decisions about what I'm doing, whereas I'm just throwing the colour on so you can see a few different colours and effects that I can get there. And remembering as well that I can always still layer this up later, and I can actually, if I want to, I can actually take off that wax and see how now it is actually embedded in those cracks. So all I did was rub off the top layer. Oh, some of my artwork's falling underneath my toes here. I dropped my cloth as well, so that's not super helpful. And so then, like I can also rub back these areas here, and, you get these beautiful contrasts where you've actually got, the cracks. So you can see how the wax is actually going in there. So I can rub that off as much as I like. So I can keep working on that to get some of the dark colour back. Rub it off in there where I didn't really want it. Isn't that beautiful? So it just takes it, like I say, from being really one-dimensional to actually having like just incredible layers where people would look at your artwork and go, oh my goodness, how have you actually done that? So Carrie's just saying she lives in the wet tropics and it gets really hot. So I have experimented with the melting point, Carrie, but that is where, maybe you wouldn't put your artwork outside with it. But I find that once it has set, it doesn't tend to really melt. And so, like I say, I've actually put a heat gun onto it, and I've played with a heat gun to really see what will happen. So it depends how dry it is. So you can get some really cool effects with tools like the heat gun, and like Karen was saying, can I play with the hairdryer? I do find, though, Karen, that actually you know, playing with the hairdryer doesn't actually make it any faster to, you know, to do. And I'm better just to have a little bit of patience to allow that first layer to dry. And that's where it can be really valuable to be working over more than one piece at a time. Okay, so you can see this isn't finished, but the really great thing with this, and so what I want to be careful of is I want to be careful that I still retain that really strong contrast. So between the lights and the darks, and I have some areas that are stronger. So this would be a first layer of wax for me. Then I would look and I would go, okay, where do I want it to be more opaque? Where do I want to pay attention to my edges and my textures and my ridges? Where do I want it to be lighter in my piece? And I will continue to do that until I have something more resolved, like this piece is more resolved. All right, or the other one that I held up before is more resolved. So then I've got a this is just different layers of pigment color. And so again, you can see that it just hasn't got any contrast. So it has got the darks, and then it's got mid-tones, and it's got a little bit of light, but it really needs, you know, a little bit more light brought back into it to really get some beautiful feeling of light and movement in the little piece. To mix with pigments, do you need to add transparent medium too? So this is Narissa. So Narissa is going to be doing the next course with me. Yay! So I'm so excited to have a number of you on here today who are going to be doing the next Certified Powertex Trainers course with me. So it's really, really cool. So I can't wait to get started. And of course, we are starting on the 11th of March. If you do want to know more about that, there are still some places left in the course, and it is actually open to participants worldwide. It is recognised in several countries, so yeah, just get in touch with me and we can have a call and have a chat about your art business. Okay, so yay, Denise is also coming on, and of course she is here as well. You guys will get to know each other very, very well through the duration of the course, and I do think that is one of the wonderful things, is that you do actually end up, you know, making friends for life, really, when you connect with art. So already you can see that just taking a little bit of wax onto that corner is making this piece totally different. And I can actually, I would then be going, okay, where do I want the light to come in from? Do I want to leave this corner dark? Do I want to have light going up and have it kind of dark in the middle, like I've done on the other ones? I quite like lightening up the four corners. But I'm going to bring this in from the top, so it's more, it's got more of that feeling of streaming into the artwork. So have I answered everyone's questions? Nicole's just saying, welcome to the Powertex Trainers Tribe. So what colours have I used? Okay, I would have no idea. So quite often I just layer up different colours. So at a guess, I would say I have used, I've definitely used Vista, because I always use Vista. So it would be a combination of green and blue Vista. And then I have probably maybe done some, added some vinegar to the Vista to get some turquoise. I've probably used some power colours in there with the wax. Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly, because when I'm working, I tend to just get lost in the process. And sometimes I will actually write on the back of my canvases what I've done, so that if I wanted to repeat the process, especially when they're, you know, little demo pieces like these are, you know, then quite often I will have on the back of them. Okay, so here you can see that this is starting to dry, and so because I'm keeping touching it, you can see how it's coming off. So it, like I say, it's really important once it starts to lift to just go and work on another area in your piece. You know, there's no reason why you can't actually work on another section of your piece that you haven't put wax on yet. And by the time you've done another couple of sections, you've played maybe, because of course I don't have to just use the wax and the ivory Powertex. I could use pigments, I could use transparent Powertex, and I could also use acrylic paints with my wax as well, because of course acrylic paints are water-based. So the great thing is, if you do add your acrylic paints into the wax, there is actually already binder in your acrylic paint, so there should be enough binder in your acrylic paints to actually bind the wax. Having said that, though, I would say that with a warning, because some of the cheap acrylic paints don't have a good binder. So if you're using a cheap acrylic paint, then I recommend putting some sort of binder in with the wax and your acrylics. You just don't want it all to get too wet. So wax, one of my favorite products. I love pretty much all the products in the Powertex range. That's really why I ended up becoming the importer of Powertex for Australia, was because I was so super excited about the possibilities of this medium as an artist. So, you know, once you start playing with the medium, there are just so many possibilities. And a lot of it is experimental, and you just need to discover and play with different things. So I'll just pop on over to here so I can chat to you. And oh, everything's falling down underneath my toes. So I hope you have really enjoyed that today. Carrie is saying, okay, I'm sold. I'll be placing an order next week. Carrie, you will love this medium. It is such a wonderful medium to have in your toolkit. It is just so awesome. And you can play to your heart's content with it. So just to recap, you can mix the Powerwax with any water-based medium. So you can use it with your acrylics, you can use it with your fluid acrylics, you can use it with anything. Just try it and see what works. If it's a pigment like we did last week, then you do need to add some sort of binder into it, into the mix. And so, of course, that's where you could use your transparent Powertex, or you could actually use something like an acrylic gloss medium, or a gel medium, or, you know, possibilities are endless, really. So just experiment and see what works for you, and you will develop your own things that you love. So like I love using the wax with the Powertex ivory, you'll probably find ways that you love working with the wax. So you do need to add a binder into the wax, and as I said, there is actually enough binder in acrylics to actually bind the wax. Now I do just want to say quickly, I have got a lot of people on today who are either trainers or who are coming up to coming into the new course that has just been launched. And there is a new course. It is a new Certified Powertex Trainers online course with me, and it is like Friday Live on steroids, because What I'm going to be doing with you is you actually have my mentorship for 6 months, and you have it 24/7 in a VIP Facebook group. You also have a like a quick start, getting started, where I actually do 8 weeks of group coaching Q&A with you each week for 8 weeks, and then it goes to once a month after that, so you get 5 bonus Q&As with me. So that's where you can hop on and you can ask any question. And as well as that, of course, you also get the certification, all the practical knowledge and content and product knowledge that you need to be able to push your art in your own direction and become a trainer and create an art business that you love. So if you would like to learn more, I have actually next week, I am doing a free information session where I will just turn that banner off so you can see the information that's actually on there. So I am doing a free information session. So if you would like to register for that, I think I did put the link in the comments, but if I haven't, just say, yes, I'd love to come to the session, and I will send you a message with the link so that you can join. And that will basically give you all the information you need to know about the upcoming course and what's included. And yeah, come on and join me. So those of you who've already spoken to me, you guys are already full bottle on it. So I don't imagine I'll see you there, but if you would like to come on and have a look, you're very welcome. And yeah, it should be a really good session. So as well as that, I am doing, hang on, I'll just take that down so that you can, okay. Best laid plans for mice and men, right? So I thought I'd share with you as well just what a couple of people have said about the course so far, just for those of you who are maybe interested in finding out a bit more about it. So it's actually nice when it's actually someone else has said it instead of just me. So this is Corinne from Bridgetown, and so she's got Just Because. So you can actually go on and you can check out her social media pages and have a look at what she does. And so of course, we've just done the first 8 weeks in the course where, as I say, it's that very accelerated focus. And so you can see what she said there, reflecting on her initial 8 weeks in the Certified Powertex Trainers course. She's now revitalising her small business, and her understanding of Powertex products has multiplied by 100%, enhancing her confidence in their application and encouraging her to explore new techniques, which is what I really want to do. So for me, it's really about finding your voice and pushing the medium so that you're really working in ways that you discover and love. And she's now embracing, she has been really good at embracing all the challenges I've presented. And she says, I urge you to take the leap and you won't be disappointed. So that is a lovely recommendation from Corinne, and it's always, it's always nicer to hear it from someone else than for me to just tell you. So Corinne has also been doing quite a few live videos, and Kay has also done a testimonial, which I'll share with you next week. So Kay is from Studio 30 in Mandurah, down near Nicole. And of course, everyone is working with the medium in their own way. So you are going to learn different things from different people that you actually go and do workshops with. Oh, look, Corinne's here. I didn't see you pop in, Corinne. And so thanks. Yes, it's definitely a fantastic course. So yeah, lovely to have you here, and thanks for joining. So with you all, everyone, thank you so much for joining me this week. I am loving being back to Friday Live this year, and it's really wonderful to connect with you all. Carol's also saying that she's done a training course with me and she felt that it was really well worth it as well, and she loves Powertex because there's so much you can do with it. And thanks, Nicole, as well, for the little recommendation there. You are simply the best. Thank you. And oh, look, I seem to have lost my screen for a minute, but that's okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, for those of you who haven't yet, just remember that you can actually join the Powertex community. So on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel and you'll get actually a notification each week when there's a new video or I'm going live. But as well as that, you can create, connect and share with us on the Powertex Australia Creative Hub, which is in Facebook, and you can ask questions there, and there are lots of beautiful people in there sharing their artwork who are very happy to help anyone who is actually in the group. So, and of course, you can always learn more on the website. So if you would like to connect with me, have a chat about your art business and the new upcoming course, I have actually, I am taking calls to help people, and it is a free 30-minute call that you have with me to have a chat about your art business. So everyone, if you are watching in replay, please drop me a line. It's always lovely to see who is watching, and it is fantastic to be connecting with you guys. So have a wonderful creative weekend, everyone. And I look forward to sharing with you again next week. I should tell you what's coming up, actually. So next week, I'm going to be looking at Powerwax again, but also the beautiful, vibrant colours of liquid power and how you can use those with Powerwax. So liquid power from Powertex Art Supplies, a stunning range of about 8 colours that are just so vibrant and gorgeous. So make sure you don't miss that one. And until next week, get on and have some creative play in the studio and make your own discoveries of what you love with Powertex Art Supplies and also the Powerwax that I've been showcasing for the last couple of weeks. All right, everyone, bye now.